Welcome to our mini class today. Our theme this week is love for Valentine's and Family Day. And in particular, I want to talk about self-love. Right? We may or may not have others to focus on during this time. And that can be actually a source of great pain and great suffering. And we can also, excuse me, really embrace the idea of self-love at this time. And the idea of self-love isn't that we just accept and love the things that are lovable about ourselves, but that we open ourselves up to everything, to the good, the bad, the ugly, the challenging, the fearful, the shameful, all of that stuff. If we can find a way to open our container to hold all of that in love is so, so, so powerful. Right? We often want to cut parts of ourselves off or hide them from ourselves or others because we feel ashamed of them or we feel uncomfortable. I really invite you to try to open yourself to unconditional self-love, to love all of the bits and pieces of yourself. Challenging for sure. So today, as we go through the class, I invite you to notice whatever arises in you, whatever thoughts arise in you, and see if you can find space for them. Right, so that we are always coming back to this container of self-love. If that feels challenging for you, try to find some compassion or even forgiveness for that. So we spend a lot of energy holding down and hiding the things that we don't want to see. So I invite you to allow them to blossom, allow them to be. Know that none of us is perfect and we're all worthy of love, right? Whether we have it in our lives in a full way right now or if it's self-love, we're all worthy of love. So I invite you to accept and to love and to bring in all the bits so that we have a sense of wholeness. So I'm going to start seated today. You may also want to have a blanket and a block handy. If you don't have those, you can certainly do the practice without them, but it may be helpful. So I'll see you on the mat. So starting in a comfortable seated position, if you prefer to be on a chair, it's totally fine. The most important thing is that you're comfortable for the first few minutes, as you're comfortable throughout, but we'll be sitting for the first few minutes, so make sure that you're comfortable. So the last few weeks, we've been looking at themes of noticing and paying attention, using what's present in the moment as a tool for mindfulness. So we talked about the body and sensations and even lack of sensation in the body, how that can help us to tune into mindfulness, to the present moment. We talked about the breath, both the inhale and the exhale, and how focusing on the breath can contribute to mindfulness practice. And today I invite you to be tuned into your mind, to the thoughts that arise, right? We all have this little monitor or editor that tells us at times that we're not good enough, right? So when we notice that little voice talking to us, can we turn towards it instead of turning away? Can we welcome it instead of pushing it aside? So using the thoughts that arise, because they arise in the moment, right, to bring mindfulness. Now, when we get attached to thoughts and we start following them and believing them, then we're pulled away from the moment. So we're going to do a little warm up to learn and practice that idea of just letting the thoughts be. So let's first tune into the body. Tune into the fact that you're sitting in this space. Feel the pressure against your sit bones on the chair or cushion or ground. You feel your feet where they make contact with the ground, your hands where they contact your legs. And if you have very little feeling or you feel numb in areas, just notice that as its own kind of sensation. Or you can wiggle or move various parts of your body to invite a little more sensation. Rub the legs to feel a little more in the legs or the hands. So being aware of your body as it is, letting go of judgment, Letting go of labeling anything as good or bad. Just noticing, not dwelling on what's uncomfortable, but not ignoring it either. Allowing your container to be big enough to hold all of who you are today. And then tuning into the breath and feeling how the breath naturally moves your body. Right? The breath happens absolutely naturally. We can certainly control the breath, but we don't need to. The breath happens all on its own. So tuning into that natural rhythm of your own breath, welcoming it without judgment. And then I invite you to tune into your thoughts. So it's not about attaching yourself to a particular thought and following the story, but noticing the thoughts. Thoughts just come and go. They come on their own and they go, right? It's when we give them attention and we hook onto them that we can spiral in negative or even positive thinking. But just letting the thoughts pass through. So you can imagine them as waves flowing in the ocean. You can imagine them as clouds going by in the sky, or like you've got a radio in the background that you can hear, but you're not really engaged with. So take a moment and see if you can just notice the thoughts rise and fall. When you find yourself hooked and taken away, just come back maybe to the breath for a moment and then back to your mind. It'll take about a minute just to watch the thoughts. And again, if thoughts of self-doubt or other negative thoughts arise, there's no need to push them away. Just let them be part of that wave or cloud, allowing them to simply be. And then let's bring the hands together at the heart. And all of which is in our heart today, all of the thoughts, feelings, whatever may be present for you. Opening the space for all of that to exist together. And then we're going to lift whatever is there by lifting the hands symbolically, opening the hands and giving it space, letting it all out into the light, whatever is good, whatever is challenging, whatever we would rather not look at. Coming back to the heart, reconnecting with what's present. And then when you're ready, lifting and giving it space, letting it be, not pushing it down, not even trying to make it bigger or better. Just being with what is, and one more time, connecting with what's true for you right now. Can you give your truth some space? Lifting it and opening out. Let's bring the hands onto the thighs. We'll do a little forward and back arching and rounding of the back in the cat-cow. Inhaling, finding a little extension or arch in the back. Exhaling and rounding. Inhaling, extending or arching. Exhaling and rounding. And then I invite you to move in whatever way would feel good for your body. So you can circle, you can Move your head, the shoulders, the torso. You can stretch your legs out, moving in a way that would feel good to you. Right. And if you are on the ground and your legs are crossed, you might want to stretch them out in front of you, give them a little shake. And then we'll come around onto hands and knees, onto all fours. And same kind of movement here. So inhaling, a little arch or extension of the back. Exhaling, rounding. You can use child's pose if you like for a little more stretch. Inhaling, exhaling. And as always, if you find that the coordination of the breath and the movement together feels uncomfortable or just doesn't fit the pace that you want to move at, just move freely. Allow your body to move at the pace that feels comfortable and breathe in whatever way is natural for you. Hey. So today we're going to work with a little bit of back bending. You can do this on your back if you're uncomfortable lying on your stomach. So if you're okay on your stomach, you can come onto your belly. In a moment, I'll give you some guidance on how to get there. And one thing I want to share with you about being on your belly is that sometimes having some padding underneath you can be helpful. So having a blanket underneath you. So if you have larger breasts, you may want to pad the area below your breasts so that you're not so squished. And the reverse might be true, right? You may have a big belly and you may want to bring the blanket a little higher up and pad the space so you're not putting so much pressure on your belly. So wherever you're at, you may find having some kind of blanket folded more or less under you is more comfortable. So maybe something like this to give you a little bit of extra padding where you need it. Or you may find that nothing at all feels better for you. So you can kind of experiment a little bit and see what would feel good for you. Placing your blanket, or it could even be a pillow if you prefer, in that space. And then we're going to make our way down onto the ground from all fours. So if you take your hands ahead of your shoulders, so that when you draw your hips forward, your wrists are under your shoulders or slightly ahead, right? So they could be a little forward, but if your wrists are back, you're going to put a lot of strain on your wrists. Now, if this is uncomfortable for your wrists, you're just going to come onto your belly and wait for us there. So otherwise, coming into what would be called a kneeling plank position. And we're going to roll down. So you're going to bend your elbows, let your thighs, your hips, your belly, your chest, and your forehead come to the ground. Now, if there's another way that is it more comfortable for you to get there, that's totally fine. I'm going to bring the hands. Actually, we'll start by just resting the head on the hands. You can turn to one side if you like, or forehead down. And we'll just work with the breath at first. So you can have your feet flat, or if it's uncomfortable, tuck your toes under if you feel like your feet might cramp here. So our action here is we're going to inhale and relax. Exhale, gently squeeze the buttocks, press down through the hips and thighs. Press into the feet even if that's comfortable. So inhale, relax. Exhale, gently engage, press down. Inhale, relax. Exhale, engage and press down. Inhale, relax. One more time. Exhale, engage and press down. Okay. And then just relax, let your breath return to normal. And we'll bring the hands in beside the face, elbows on the ground, tucked into the sides of the body. If you can bring your forehead down comfortably, we can bring it down in front. Again, we'll inhale and relax. Exhale, engage, gently press down. We're going to keep that engagement now as we lift the head and chest a little bit off the ground and then lower down. Keep engaged through the hips and thighs. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Again. So this is a very active back bend. We're using the muscles of the back to lift and lower. We're not using the arms. If it feels comfortable for you, you might come up a little ways and stay there, feeling the engagement of the back of the body. It's a really great pose for strengthening the back. Often done when the back is uncomfortable. It helps to reset the spine a little bit and engage those muscles that are often weak in the lower back. You can come on down. When you come down, I invite you to also bring your hands forward again. You can rest your head either on your forehead or to one side. Let your toes come in and your heels fall away from each other, and relax your lower back, your hips, your legs, and take a few breaths here. So letting the breath flow naturally. And then if it's comfortable for you, you can bend the knees and try taking the lower leg side to side here. Just giving your low back a bit of release, a bit of movement. And then we'll do one more round of that cobra pose, taking the legs back behind you, bringing the arms down to your sides again, palms on the ground. There's lots of different ways to do cobra. So if you've learned a different way, it doesn't mean you've learned wrong. We're just doing a nice, easeful baby cobra today. So again, we're going to breathe in and relax. Exhale, gently press down through the hips and the thighs. Inhale, lift your chest and head just enough so you feel your back muscles engage. So you're not putting any pressure on your arms. And ideally, you could even lift the arms and it wouldn't make any difference. And then what you can think about is with your arms on the ground, imagine you're trying to pull your mat back toward your hips. And as you do that, feeling the chest come forward a little. You might lift a little naturally as you press a bit down into the arms. Keep pressing down into the hips, down into the thighs. Breathing. If it's too much for you, come down anytime. And then slowly lower if you're still up. So slide the hands back a little way so the elbows lift. And you can lift yourself back up to all fours, just the way we came, feeling your body back off the ground. You're walking the knees in so that they're under the hips again. And we'll come back to that movement, arching with the inhale, rounding and going to child's pose on the exhale. Whichever movement feels good for you. If you're comfortable in child's pose, stay for a few breaths. If not, you might alternately try puppy, a variation of puppy pose, where the weight is on the forearms and your hips are a little higher. So it's often the knees and the ankles that get in the way with child's pose. So You can always tuck your toes under, be up off your bum a little bit, head hang down, or more traditionally, hips on the heels. Breathing here, softening through the back of your body, breathing into that space. Wonderful. When you're ready, you can make your way upright to swing the legs around and come onto your back. So here's where you may find it helpful to have a block, or it could be a folded blanket or even a firm cushion. We're going to lift into bridge in a moment and place something under the hips. Now, if you don't have anything at all available, that's fine. You can actually do this with your hips on the ground. Won't be as much of a back bend, but it'll still give you a little more extension of the spine. So if you find it uncomfortable to lift the hips, absolutely stay on the ground. So we're going to start with the arms to the side and just a very gentle pressure down into the feet. You'll notice your lower back lengthens and flattens, and then we'll heel up with the spine, lifting as much as is comfortable, not forcing, restraining, and then lowering down. Just a little bit mild, just giving the spine a little bit of a massage and release here. I was going to say it's a bit of a mild back bend. It's barely a back bend at all. A little bit more of an inversion than a back bend. So here, if you like, and if you have something available, you can slide a block or blankets or firm cushion underneath your hips and just raising the hips a little bit up. Now, like I said, hips can stay on the ground and you'll still get extension. So you only want to raise a few inches. This block is, I think, 4 inches, and that's plenty. So from here, you can try extending one leg, heel down, toes up. See if that feels comfortable for your lower back. You can also think about gently engaging the core, just as we have been doing, pressing down with the lower back to lengthen it, and then maybe lifting the same arm on the same side. So you want to keep a bit of an engagement in the core, otherwise you can end up with a little bit of pinchy feeling in the lower back. But you can also experiment with what feels right for you. So reaching out with that arm and leg, feeling that little bit of extension in the back. And then you can bring the knee and the hand towards each other. You'll feel your pelvis rock back a little bit. You may even come off the back of your block a little bit if you're using a block. So we're releasing the back a bit here, and then releasing the foot. And then other side, so stretching out. Again, you can do this on the ground. You'll still get some benefit, lots of benefit in fact. Maybe reaching the arm up. Keep that leg active. You're pressing down into the heel, which is going to in turn help to engage the core and lengthen the lower back. So this is not passive. You're a little bit active here. Reaching out, breathing. And again, you can bring that knee in. Notice how the shape of your back changes a little. The pelvis drops back, the back rounds a little, so releasing. And then you can bring that foot also to the ground. If you're up on a block or blanket or cushion, you can lift and slide that out and come slowly to the ground. Both knees into the chest. Moving forward and back with the knees, inhaling as you move the knees away, exhaling as you draw the knees in. And then if there's other movements that want to happen, it could be circles or rocking side to side. Giving your low back especially lots of love and a little massage after our back bends. Many people struggle a little bit with back bends. We tend to round and punch forward in a lot of our postures, sitting, standing, driving. And so back bends ask us to engage parts of the body that are often weak. So if you find back bends hard, you're not alone. And after doing a series of back bends, it's really nice to give the back the opposite stretch, bringing the knees in, giving a little massage, movement. You can stay with it a bit longer if it feels good. When you're ready, your feet come to the floor. And take the arms out to the sides, just wherever they're comfortable. So you want to feel a bit of spaciousness around the heart. And we'll take a few breaths here, maybe 1 or 2 minutes, to really bring our attention to the area around the heart, to acknowledge whatever's present. And see if you can create a little more space for whatever is. Breathing and creating space, expansion, allowing yourself as much as possible to hold the entirety of who you are. Recognizing when we choose or strive to hide from ourselves, and see if we can stay present, stay with ourselves, even in those challenging moments. Committing to that as a practice. And in gratitude and self-love, thanking yourself for being here, for showing up today. Lift the arms, bring them across the body. Give yourself a nice hug and a squeeze. Feel the back space of your heart expand as you breathe in this position. And when you're ready, releasing, you can stay here if you want to be a little longer in this lying position and integrate the practice a bit longer, or you can roll over onto your side, come back to sit. Bring your palms together wherever you are, whether you're lying or sitting. And as always, I really encourage you to take this theme into your day, into your week, allowing yourself to be as open as possible to whatever is true for you. Embracing the shame, embracing the fear, embracing the not knowing or the not feeling good enough. And bringing it all in with as much love, with as much kindness and support as you can find. And if you're not feeling resourced or supported or loving toward yourself today, just hold that with as much compassion as possible. Maybe reach out to someone else who could help you. Take a nap, do whatever might feel good. I wish you a beautiful day. Namaste.